ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, X-wing players, and anyone who is potentially interested in X-wing or other Star Wars games. Welcome to our channel. This is a channel that is dedicated to games inside the Star Wars universe. My call sign is BatMando. If you are new to X-wing, then this is the channel to watch. And if you are getting into 2.5, then this is the place to be. Welcome to our Star Wars X-wing community. If you are a brand new player to this game, then we just wanted to let you know that there are always plenty of pilots that are willing to help you at your local game store. There are plenty of veteran pilots out there that are willing to give you advice, insights, and strategies. But if you need more, that is what this channel is here for. This is our video series that we call Starfighter Orientation, where we smuggle all of the inside information that we can about every ship in the game. Even if you do not fly the faction of the ship that we are talking about in this video, it may be extremely useful to know all of its stats, actions, tactics, and top pilots. So, now, without any code clearance, I turn you over to your instructor. Best of luck to you, pilot. Greetings, pilots. Welcome to Starfighter Orientation. My call sign is BatMando, and let's go ahead and tell you what ship that we're going to be going over today, and that is the Rogue-class Starfighter. So, this vessel is a member of two separate factions, the Separatists and the Scum, and this video is going to focus on the Scum pilots. So, let's go ahead and dive on in and tell you what I think is really good about this ship and some things that are not so great about this ship. So, in which case, as you can see there from the generic or the standard Rogue-class Starfighter, we have a attack power of 2, we have a defense rating of 2, we have 5 hull, 2 shields, and the action bar is quite busy and includes a lot of linked actions. So you can focus into a boost, you can also focus into a barrel roll, you can evade into a barrel roll. The only way you're going to get a barrel roll, though, is that you have to do a focus or evade action first and take the red barrel roll. Now, you can also lock, and you can also do a red boost, but to me it doesn't make sense to do a red boost by itself unless you're going to go ahead and do the focus with it. That way it just makes better sense. So now, something else about the ship ability that you should definitely pay attention to. The ship ability known as Dead to Rights prevents a defender in its bullseye from modifying their defense by green tokens. So in which case that could be very, very useful in a fight. Also, let's take a look at its dial, and this dial is very versatile. Let's just go ahead and say with the speed 1 banks and speed 1 hard turns, then you have 7 blue maneuvers, 2 Talon rolls, and a 5k turn, and obviously with its straight maneuvers going from 2 to 5, 3 of which of those are blue maneuvers, you can get out of town real quick. So like if you need to use that 5 but you're stressed, you can go ahead and do that 4, clear the stress, and then do a focus and boost and still be on your merry way. So in which case this is a very versatile ship, and I will also say that, hey, guess what? Just depending on how you use the ship, as in what tactics you're using, this ship can be very dangerous. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the tactics here. So now, the ships themselves can fit whatever use you need for them. In other words, like they have the ability to carry some very strong cannons. They have a double cannon slot, which is why you have one of the cards that was in the original package known as proton cannons, and those things are really mean. So they're a bullseye weapon, and they pack 4 attack dice, but you can modify one of your hits into a crit as per the card. Now, we'll talk about that more on Wednesday with our Form Up episode. In addition to carrying cannons, one of them with the correct title is going to be able to carry a device and have a crew member. Then all of them basically have a listed upgrade, so Contraband Cybernetics for those 2 Talon rolls, so you can get some kind of focus afterwards, you know, little things. Now, depending on what you load this thing out will probably determine what you want the ship to do. Do you want it to attack? Do you want it to be a blocker? Do you want it to go running around and grabbing objectives? Because there's 2 pilots in this group that I think are honestly just really best at doing that. Okay, so anyway, speaking of pilots, I guess it's time that we go ahead and talk about the 3 pilots that have been selected. Now, these pilots will serve you well if you play to their strengths and their intended roles, but keep in mind that some of these pilots may not be the meta pilots. They're just my preferred pilots, and the 3 pilots that I would go ahead and like to highlight are as followed. We have Dirge, we have Cad Bane, and we have Victor Hell. So now, let's go ahead and jump on into why these 3 pilots. And I'm going to tell you, choosing number 3 was really difficult, but we'll get to that here in just a second. So, Dirge here, you can only find his pilot card in the Hotshots and Aces 2 reinforcement pack. So, the other pilots you can find in the actual package itself with the ship expansion in it. But Dirge here, while you defend while you defend after the neutralize results step, if there are more hits or crit results than you have active shields, you may change one of those hits into a crit and cancel 1 hit result. So let's say that we go ahead and see that there's, 2 hits and 2 hits and a blank. You obviously could take the 2 hits, or you could go ahead and get rid of one of those hits, turn the other hit into a crit, and that's where the gambling kind of takes place. The risk and reward, that whole thing there. Like, you can go ahead and flip over a card and it says direct hit and it's all for nothing, but you also could end up getting something as simple as disable power regulator, and oh well, I'm ions. How sad. I'll be able to get out of that pretty soon, I hope. So now, this is one of the reasons that Dirge is pretty good, because you can, in some cases, reduce the quantity of damage, but it's always going to be a risk as to whether you are going to be able to reduce the quality of damage, if you will. So, yeah, he's definitely interesting, and coming in at a 5 initiative for 4 costs doesn't hurt either. So we'll go ahead and talk about the pilot that made this ship infamous and made almost every bounty hunter want one, Cad Bane himself. So Cad Bane is going to be the only one in this group that is allowed to get the ship's title known as Xanadu Blood, which is the only way that you can get a crew on the ship along with a device. So be thinking of that when you are building your list, and we'll show you that on our Wednesday episode of Forum Up when we talk about building the lists for this particular ship. Okay, so Cad can be mean. So again, a 4-cost ship, but initiative for pilots, so a little trade-off there. After you perform an attack that hits, you may spend 2 charges to transfer one of your non-lock red or orange tokens to the defender. So let's imagine, if you will, you have flown in, you have a bullseye weapon such as the proton cannons. So you fly on in, you take that focus, you flip it on over, as in barrel roll on over to get that enemy ship in your bullseye arc, and then you're stressed because of it, but let's say that attack hits, and then your enemy is stressed in addition to taking whatever number of hits you were able to get with those proton cannons. So just basically, adding insult to injury, which I do for free. So now, obviously, Cad Bane can be found in the Rogue-class Starfighter expansion pack, and let's go ahead and talk about the 3rd pilot, which, I'm sorry, trying to figure out which pilot should have been the 3rd, because I have an honorable mention in here, essentially, is what I'm going to tell you. So I'm talking about 4 pilots in this video, because both of these upcoming pilots are very situational. So let's talk about Victor Hell, which won out in the coin toss between the 2. And so Victor basically says, after you defend, if you did not roll exactly 2 defense dice, the attacker gains 1 stress token. Okay, cool. So, in some cases, I kind of think of this as a get out of jail free card because some people will not shoot at you because if you're at range 3, hello, 3 defense dice, don't want to do that. Let's say let's say that you actually pick up the damage that reduces your agility by 1. Well, nobody wants to shoot at you now unless they are absolutely certain that they can kill you. Especially if they're a ship that doesn't have a lot of blue, because they're going to be taking a lot of, they're going to be taking a red at that point in time. So, or a stress, I should say. And, yeah, so what I would tell you is the way I would fly Victor Hell in a list is I would have him be an objective grabber that intentionally tries to park himself either in range 3 or behind an obstacle. So that other ships, if they choose to shoot at Victor, will get stressed for doing it. So, I don't know. This is why it's very situational, because once somebody kind of gets or grabs onto what it is that you are doing, then they may go ahead and decide to hunt you down, and instead of keeping you at range 3, they're going to try to creep on you at range 1 to 2, and then your ability at that point in time is moot unless you have that one damage that basically reduces your agility by 1. So now we're going to talk about the other honorable mention here, and that is Nam Lum. Nam Lum comes in as a initiative 1, but at the start of engagements, you may choose one ship that is in your primary arc, and if you do, you treat that initiative as equal to the ships, or you treat your pilot's initiative as equal to the enemy pilot initiative for the end of that round, or until the end of that round. That is pretty cool, but, you know, what's the probability of you lining up with a 6? I mean, both of you would be a 6 at that point in time. Hopefully you have one road and you have initiative at that point in time, but at the same time, very situational. And then, of course, once your opponent catches on, they're going to probably not want to hang out in your primary arc anymore. They're going to go ahead and shift their attacks so that they can attack you from the side, or that they can attack you from the rear. So in which case, you're not going to be able to get that ability if the person is familiar with it and they don't need to attack you from the front. So again, Nam Lum and Victor Hell may be really good for grabbing objectives, whether it's picking one up and flying around with it, or just objective jumping, as in, you know, going from one to the next and on to the next just to grab those points. So that's what I'm going to tell you about those pilots, or at least my perception of them. If there's a pilot that you preferred, or if you even want to start talking about the Separatist pilots, feel free to go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section below and let other people learn from your perspective on which pilots you prefer. So, that being said, we're going to go ahead and take you on back to the outro. All right, thank you so much for all that useful information. If there was anything that you were unclear of during the video, we always provide these links in every video description of every video that we produce, and that is all the links to AMG, the community sites. We have a fandom for questions about ships, and then if you have questions about strategies or various other things, definitely check out the community hub. We're also going to tell you that we provide you links to all the list builders that we recommend, and with that being said, hopefully this helped you out. So if it did, help us out by clicking like on the videos that you like, and we know what more videos to create more of. Please make sure to subscribe to our future transmissions and get your friends to also subscribe as well, because we always need new pilots. That being said, thank you so very much for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram or friend us on Facebook, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below so that other people can see the questions and learn from them just like you. All right, so thank you to Slides Go, Flat Icon, Free Pick for the use of their media in our presentation, and as always, BatMando out.